the big question for many. Uh, we're 1 month away from NAB's Spring Show. And the first question, Jeff, is why should anybody go there?
You're asking the wrong guy. Uh, my discussion for years has been that the best part about Vegas is the departure lounge. But now, in fairness, I will be pulling into town along with a bunch of our team on April 2nd. By the time the show starts, we've done PREC, we've done SBE, NS, I've done some SBE board of directors stuff. Jeff Wilson's done some stuff with the APRE board. And so by the time the show floor opens, well, it opens concurrent with NUG, so we've split half staff for that. So by Monday morning, we're pretty much done. We've put in a full week and a half, and we haven't even really started yet. It is, without a doubt, the best chance to see everybody involved in the industry, whether manufacturer, service provider, or just other broadcasters. So, that's got some value depending on what you do. But there's a lot there, and there's a lot of planning. And like I said, the first year that I made a joke once that there was a specific country where the first year I had an expired visa for that country in my passport and didn't have to renew it was the happiest year of my life up till date. Well, I think that at this point, after 20 years of it, and I'm just a rookie compared to some, the first year I don't have to book Vegas trip in April, that'll be a good day. Then I can start going back to have fun.
I
But
actually gave up for 2 years with the pandemic, I
Yep.
will admit. So I'm in my high 40s, and I'm like you have seen, even at 20, you've seen the differences.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like I say, I love the show when I'm there. The prep work and the being there is it's a lot. But and I think that's probably the biggest thing. If somebody is planning to go for the first time, or even somebody who's been a few times, it's really easy for it to get overwhelming. There's so much there and so many venues, and they're not all. Is the Central Hall open this year? I know they got the North Hall open again.
I've seen some booth numbers in Central Hall. I don't know if the whole hall will be open, but as you say, North is open.
Yeah. And Alan asked, I'll read it out loud, but Al asked in chat if we'd be doing the Nugs streaming it live, and the goal is yes. We did that the year before, one of those 2 years for the first time, and it's fortunately the folks from Max Connect group handle that for us, so they do a much better job than I would do, which is why it didn't work when we tried it 3 years ago. There's a reason that I stay on the side of the microphone that I'm on most of the time.
You mean I got to come crash again?
Absolutely, come on in.
I
But
will probably I will probably try to get up early enough for that.
but yeah, so I mean, BEITC or the broadcast engineering and IT conference portion. There's a lot of education in there. I'm a big fan of the SBE NS sessions, the RF 101, because for the last 3 years I've been putting it together. Fred Willard and Dave Bialik have done an amazing job with the media over IP. They're in their second year, and all new stuff every year for them. So, and you had the public radio engineering conference. There's just a stunning amount of learning opportunities there to get in touch with what's going on. And I know with the SBE stuff, we fight very hard to make it non-sales pitchy. I mean, last year I had Rhodey and Swartz do transmitter maintenance. This year I'll probably do it just for convenience. Next year, I'd be happy to see somebody from Gates Air come in and do it. So, just trying to balance it out and keep it as non-denominational and as subject-oriented as possible. And that's, if anybody's playing buzzword bingo, I think I just got you an X. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, from the educational and the meeting people perspective, you just aren't going to find everybody together in one place outside of maybe Amsterdam, which is a little harder to get to.
Well, I think the educational part is obviously very important, and secondarily, I think is the opportunity to meet folks from the vendors.
Right. And you notice the one thing I didn't say was it's a chance to see the new shiny stuff because these days you can see that shit on my website or at any regional trade show.
Well, that's true. It's a lot easier to know what's new on the web,
Yeah.
but getting to there's two things. One, we can come meet you. I
I'm
mean,
not sure that's a benefit, but there you go.
well, I mean, we can play nice.
On the plus side, after this week with this sinus infection, I should be pretty immune to any of the diseases that usually come across 100,000 people stuck
Yeah,
into the same corner.
that works. And then number two, you can put your hands on equipment. To me, that is the
I'm glad you said
secondary.
equipment and you didn't continue that over onto the me topic because we have rules against stuff like that.
Well, it's very interesting. You can feel the travel of the pots on a console, or you can
Hmm.
feel whether getting into that transmitter is going to be easy or not.
Right. Or, like some of the older ones where you had to be on your knees halfway into the transmitter to wire the remote control. I'm not mentioning any brands, but everybody knows what I mean. And I mean, I know we've done dumb stuff too over the years, so I'm not claiming it belongs to any one company. But yeah, there is benefit to that. The other advantage is, I mean, for us, and I know for most of the other vendors, we will tend to bring at least one or two senior engineering staff, the folks that design the new stuff. We'll have at least a few service people, the folks that fix it day to day. Of course, a whole bunch of us sales weasels. And, I'm not sure what we do. Well, we buy dinner, if nothing else, that counts. So, that's you've got an ability to talk to somebody face to face where you might get a different feel than you will over a phone or an email conversation.
Yeah, in fact, that's kind of the thing that I've enjoyed because if you have an issue, and it's not necessarily a bad issue, maybe it's a feature you don't really know how to use.
Hmm.
Remember a couple weeks ago you were showing folks how they could clipboard the parameters of a transmitter pretty
Of
easily,
the AUI, yeah.
and that's not a bad thing to know how to do. But if you haven't done it, well, here's the guy's going to show you in 12 seconds, and man, that makes it easy.
Right. And the other advantage is that, except for the older stuff, we've usually got some of that gear present. So it gives you the ability to play up live.
You mean you're
Um,
not showing the MFET 50 on the floor anymore?
I know, which sucks because man, I could walk you through that transmitter pretty easily. He called me out for calling him out every time we're here, but Grady could do it too. Ha ha, Grady, there, I did it again. Uh,
Yeah,
but
well,
uh, but yeah, I mean, it's we're typically we're not going to show a lot of the legacy gear. Now we did have an MFET one on the show floor one year. Dartmouth College in New Hampshire, I think, had it. It was one of the very first ones, and they donated it back to us after they bought a new transmitter. I think that was the J1000, but I didn't cover the East Coast since, so I don't know. But anyway, we had that one on the show floor one year, and a lot of folks got, there's I say a lot of nostalgia, but there's still a pile of them on the air full time. So,
yeah.
it was kind of cool to be able to point and shoot.
Many of them
And
sitting on homemade desks.
yep. Hey, those 3 foot tall. I called it we had two sizes. You had the full size fridge and you had the bar fridge.
Yeah. Well, I
And
think I kind of talked Jorgen into getting the full size guy going,
yep. And
but
it was kind of cool because the way they did the regular rack rails on the front and just a whole bunch of empty space in the middle. So if you had filler panels, you could fill it up with all your processing STL and put your whole radio station in the one rack.
exactly, exactly.
So, and I
So
mean, now, yeah.
there you have the idea that you can see the equipment, you can feel it, you can talk to somebody, and let's face it, an email conversation is not the greatest thing in the world. And even if you're on the phone, if you can sit and see it while you're being described, it bigger impression upon your mind. And then the last thing, of course, is that should you have an issue when you're back at the station, you know who to call and you can get the direct answer because you've talked about it.
Now, there's something else, and I don't know if they're still using it because we primarily did it during COVID. And well, of course, I didn't know it was going to come up in this conversation, or I would have thought to ask. but customer service was using TeamViewer Pilot a lot.
Hmm.
And basically, with TeamViewer Pilot, you don't need an account. They'll send you a link. You click on it and follow the directions. And at that point, your phone becomes their eyes. So you point your phone, they'll tell you what to aim it at. They'll point, and then they can, on their end, with their mouse or their little light pencil or whatever the heck they use, their stylus, they can draw graphics and arrows right on that'll show up on your phone screen as you're aiming at something, or if you've taken a photo. So it is not as good as being there, but it's close. It's as close as you're going to get when you got a couple hundred or thousand miles separating you.
That's true.
So
That's true. And again, you get to know somebody, and over the years, I mean, I will be the first to say that Jeff and I go back quite a long time, and I've
real
always,
boss brought me my Timmy's, not to interrupt, but
what's that?
say real boss bought me a Tim Hortons coffee, so
Ah, okay.
life is good. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
so I can name a few others, some of whom have retired, but over the years, getting to know some folks is really a blessing in many ways, and uh, I think that in itself is almost worth the price of admission.
yeah, and Ray's got a good point in here too about automation vendors usually charging for training. And at the show, you can reserve free periods to ask questions.
Yeah.
And same with us. I mean, we don't, I guess if you wanted to go full tilt, like a 3 day training course, we'd charge for it. But again, having that time to walk through a process and see the equipment in front of you is pretty cool.
Or if they invite you to a big barbecue dinner, the training might become.
Yeah, it might, or we might just talk about barbecue and beer too. That could happen.
There you go. Well,
But
yep.
all right, going to say the one thing that I will beat the drum on over and over, and the two things that catch me by surprise every year, even after 20 years, is how much your feet are going to hurt after about the second day, and how what an amazing amount of water you will imbibe just trying to keep from drying up, especially for those of us who come from areas where relative humidity is measured in double digits. And I mean that was huge. You know, I'd go through half a gallon of water easy on the NAB show floor and still be thirsty half the time.
Quite true. Quite true.
So
There's
you're in
another thing that
Tucson, so you're used to that desert
well,
stuff,
yeah,
but
still. Another thing, you want to have a good pair of shoes.
very, very much. And I mean, for me, my current go-to is Saucony brand, but everybody has their favorites. John John Bissett swear from the Radio World Workbench and Telus Alliance swears by Florsheim's. He buys a new pair every year. And but yeah, you absolutely need to. You're going to be traveling between double padded booths like ours to bare concrete, and you're going to be on your feet. Typically, I mean, for me as a vendor, it's probably a little more extreme, but our day usually starts about 5 a.m. because that's 9 o'clock in Halifax. So we get up, get a jump on emails, get a little bit of breakfast, and then we're at the show floor by 8 or 8:30. And then we're there until 6. Then we're out to dinner with customers to get back to the hotel at 9 or 10 p.m. and start doing all the stuff you weren't doing all day in front of your computer. So yeah, it adds up to a minimum of 12 to 14 hours a day on your feet.
Well, yeah. And you can get pretty tired, or your knees can get pretty tired, or you've had enough.
Yeah, Wilson put a link in for the SBE training at NAB as well. So thank you for that, Mr. Wilson. And yeah, we do have the SBE member award reception for any SBE members. Member reception. I think the award ceremony comes right before that or after. I can't ever remember. See, this is why I'm not on the organizing part of that. I just sit back and go where I'm told.
Well, what that's going to be what, Monday evening, is it?
A billion dollar question. I'm going to click Wilson's link and see where it
Yes,
takes me.
yeah. The member reception's right after the national meeting, and they're both Monday night. And that link I put in there has the room that they're going to be in. But the member meeting is from 5 to 6, and the reception 6 to 7.
So maybe I should not plan for Monday night if we are going to do something.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean,
Or plan it for right after the member reception.
Could be.
yes, member reception wraps up at 7 p.m. On Monday night. So that yeah, that it will vary. On Sunday night, you've got the board of directors. Well, Sunday night, the board of directors will keep a dozen of us busy until about 10 or 11 p.m. But that is Sunday. No, that's Saturday. Sorry. Sunday is not bad. You've got a booth drawing, but there's nothing going on Sunday evening. And this whole shifting it off so it starts Sunday is still messing me up 3 years, 4 years later.
We have about 50 folks already here. Actually, over 50 between YouTube and Zoom. So I threw up a little poll that I've flashed together. Maybe you would like to fill out, just pop a thing there. Just a straw poll, doesn't mean a whole lot. It's totally anonymous.
Oh, darn it. Then here I threw some good sarcasm into my response. It would have been awesome.
So, uh, so we have 3 that are going, 3 that are not, 4 that are not going so far.
And I mean, that's typically, like I say, it's one of those, it's a lot. It's a lot of money to get there. It's a lot of time away. And there is a lot there, but there are also a lot of regional shows and regional SBE NS sessions and things like that.
Yeah.
Mississippi last year did an SBE NS. I mean, they didn't have a lot of vendors at the show, but they or exhibitors, but they had a pile of attendance at the engineering sessions. So
How was
Georgia does
Lansing
it.
this year?
Lansing was pretty good. They've moved focus. They've historically been the March show was primarily sales and marketing folks, and they had engineering, but it was a la carte off to the side. And they've shifted over so it's an entirely broadcast engineering conference now. So the attendance is down a little because you don't have the sales and marketing folks there. You still got a few owners and you've got a pile of engineers. And they do focus on having it in one day. So no, it was in Grand Rapids this year, and it was pretty good, except for whatever I brought back with me.
I always thought that Dan and before him Larry put together a pretty good program, and
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I know Don Backus has been involved in it. Shoot, I'm on the Michigan Broadcasters Engineering Committee, although I don't claim any great credit for that. I think I'm just there for street recognition.
then Texas is another one that I have always
Yep.
found to be very good.
Yeah, your biggest ones for education are probably, and I mean it's a really hard call because again, Nebraska puts together a good program, and I mean Kansas is off and on but doing well. Wisconsin does really well in their fall show in October. Columbus has become really big. TAB, Texas, absolutely. There are a bunch of them around. Georgia, GabCon, depending where it is, they'll usually have an SBE Ennis there regardless. And then you've got the vendors. I mean, Mary's done an open house or two. She's on the phone, so I get to talk about her now. But they've done some stuff, and I know that Brian and the crew at BSW here and there do a little bit. So yeah, there's a pile of opportunities to learn stuff out there, and most of us are pretty focused on not making it a sales pitch because y'all detect that stuff pretty well. And then the BS detector goes off and you stop listening.
Well, it used to be that the spring show was the big thing. Now, we have the regionals, yes. We have the internet, yes. We have some traveling programs that different companies have put on, running a truck around the country. I don't know if they're going to do that one this year, the follow up to Larry's old Taste of NAB. But that's a nice thing when it can come around. It can't show you everything, but can show you some things.
Right.
But in the
The
last few,
big challenge with that, and I think it's what Greg and the crew at BGS found out, was from the vendor perspective, there's got to be an ROI. And
yep,
if I'm investing having somebody on the road for 2 weeks and they're seeing 5 or 6 people at each stop, and they'll see
yep,
4 stops in 2 weeks, versus going to Grand Rapids, which is a small show where I'll see 50 or 60 people in one day.
hmm
It's really hard to justify the ROI on that,
yeah.
especially these days where, everybody's trying to keep costs as low as you can.
Well, the whole industry has changed. Again, here in Tucson, when I came back to town and set up in engineering, there were, oh, I don't know, 15, 16 radio engineers and some assistants. And now you're hard pressed to fill up one handful.
Yep. And
It's the chapter SBE chapter for Tucson folded because they couldn't get 10 people there
yep.
most of the
And I
time.
mean, more and more that's becoming the situation because the folks that are still working are too busy to take a couple hours off to do that sort of thing.
Well,
And I mean, even here, I see a couple of folks driving while they're listening, so they're able to attend. But if they were working, they wouldn't be here. So, yep, it's an ongoing challenge as we got fewer people doing more stuff. And I mean, I don't think the overall number of radio stations has gone down significantly.
well, the
So,
number of
yeah,
engineers at a particular state. Look, and I know that there's several of the major cluster guys that they force their engineers to do 100 or 200 mile radius. Uh, I
oh,
kn-
yeah.
I know of I know of
And
one guy. He's got 6 cities in his SIG, which means he's over 1,000 miles.
I mean, I disagree with the word force because, you know, I told my boss once I was looking for a job when I came here. I'd be looking for a job when I left too. But although at this point, I probably if I ever leave, then if they don't just bury me under a Nautel transmitter somewhere and then seal it up with concrete, then I'll probably be actually retired.
Only if you're very well grounded and have ferrites in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, it's one of those, and I think part of the problem, and I'm going to have to choose my words much more carefully than I usually do. Wilson's already smirking. Part of the problem is we bring it on ourselves because we just want to fix stuff. And I've seen guys that will fix stuff for $5 an hour just so they fix the stuff. And at some point, you just got to say, I can't feed my family on this and walk away. And that's a challenge. And the other problem is the industry, as you started out with, there's not a whole pile of money. I think the pie is getting smaller as more people shift over to digital and stuff. So it's a mature industry. It's not really a growth industry. And yeah, we've got to learn to work with that.
Sure, sure. Well, let's toss it open here to anyone that would like to comment on whether they're going. We see so far I got 9 of the Zoom folks here that are going and 16 that are not. So that's 4/5 have answered here. A couple probably haven't because of one reason or another. One fellow just got called out for an emergency where a Nautel 1 kilowatt got blown up in a storm last night.
No,
Yes, oh my. Uh, Says here 2 call it no more interest, 4 no money, 10 are other. I may probably should have made that a little more open, but and then it says comment, and I don't see the comments yet, or maybe after I end the poll, I can see the We'll see about that. But anyone want to share our discussion here? Please feel free to join in. Press your space bar or alternate A. And
Just make one quick comment. Uh, because I'm retired now. One of the things is it's not so much I don't want to go out to the show because I find the educational sessions still interesting. I used to find it interesting when they used to have a lot of foreign broadcasters come in and do presentations because they would be doing things and doing projects that don't come up as often in American broadcasting, and it was just interesting to learn what they did. But the other comment I was going to make was when you travel around the hall, the noise level in the hall is actually quite high. And by the end of the day, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't have a sore throat because they didn't realize how much louder they were talking than they realized. But the other point I was going to make about retirement was, well, I would like to get into a discussion with a lot of people about a lot of the ideas and techniques of their equipment. I'm not buying anything, and I don't want to waste anybody's time because I know all of the vendors who are there have spent an exorbitant amount of money to have, 10 or 20 or 100 square feet of space, and they want to talk to people who have come there to buy. So, it's just my personal guilt, and I just don't want to waste anybody's time.
So what I tell folks is, and I mean, if you're fully retired, then sure, I follow the logic. A lot of people are like, I'll never buy anything. I'm a contract engineer, as an example. And it's like, yeah, but you'll recommend. So, and it's like I tell people, the show isn't really about selling stuff. I could count on one hand the number of sales I've closed on the show floor, as a manufacturer, and I probably have fingers left over. But it's about building the relationships. I couldn't count on both hands and both feet the number of sales I've closed as a result of a conversation on the show floor with somebody who wasn't planning on buying anything. So, again, if you're still working in the industry at all, even as a contractor or just occasionally helping a friend out, then it's got value to us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jeff, you mentioned that, and I have not been to the NAB in Las Vegas at all. For 50 years I've been looking forward to going.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're saying there, that we had the symposium in November
Yep, that
at
was a lot of
SBE
fun
39
too.
in Tampa. Yeah, and it was. And one of the things that it was nice about, though, is that you can go ahead and get on the phone with these people. But here's a face-to-face, a three-dimensional picture, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to the two dimensions of television, Zoom, whatever, however you want to say it. So
Right.
to me, yeah, you may not have the signature on the on that sales receipt, but that definitely has the intrinsic value to it. There's no question about it.
Right, and I mean, for me, it's just the chance to whip the pocket screwdriver out and disassemble a transmitter right in front of you, and because I can, so the show and tell value is huge.
Just got to make sure the screws are tight.
And the ground's connected and the ferrites are on. Blah blah blah. Yep.
Well, it seems somebody answered something, and the comments, I'm able to see them on another screen here, but several of them saw Jeff Wilson at the NRB last week. I assume that was a good show down in Dallas. Jeff, you want to tell us?
Yeah. It was. I was at the NRB last week and got to talk to a lot of people about projects they have coming up. I had my little tabletop VX 600 with the plexiglass top, so you could see inside and have a look at the FET and all the good stuff. So it was a good show. Well, we joke though that one's probably a day longer than it needs to be, but we joke that about all of as a vendor, we joke that about all of the shows, that they're all a day or two longer. Although I will say I just started jotting down all the years I've been at NAB, and I came up. So this year I'll be topping 300 days in Las Vegas for the NAB, 300 days of my life. So I'm actually at 299 days after last year's NAB.
Well, there you go.
Crazy to think about.
One comment
That was
says,
not the cheerful thought that I needed in my head. Now, thanks for that.
have not been in a number of years. Hate going to West Hall. Plan on seeing South and North Halls. West Hall is way the devil out there. Don't know why they didn't put a people mover sidewalk in there, but
And I
Got the
agree with
Tesla.
that for yeah, for the people that don't want to go down into the or out into the parking lot and down into the Tesla dungeon. It's a little inconvenient. It would have been nice to have a moving sidewalk across the overhead pedway. Personally, I like the West Hall just because, if for no other reason, I can walk out that west side exit and be looking right at the bagel place. And
but
hey,
you weren't
that's
with
a
us last year.
really good place to eat
Yeah.
if you want to grab a lunch.
Yeah. Well, we tried that as a group last year, and unfortunately, it was just too busy, too
Yeah,
noisy.
oh yeah, no, it's crowded, no question.
Didn't work real well. So
But
we're probably not gonna do that. Oh, that's the question I probably should have been there for the 10 folks that are already saying they're going uh, noon or evening. Um, Wayne has been to all the shows since 1980 except COVID. Well, I got you beat by 3 years. 77 was my first NAB show.
I was 12 then.
Think.
I will say my first show was actually as an attendee in 1990. It was in Atlanta, and it just so happens we were there to see the Grateful Dead, and the NAB was in town. So I got one day as an attendee, but we were really there to see Jerry Garcia.
Paul up in Alaska. Hey, Paul, good to see you. Still valuable for networking and seeing what's new in person. That's really a good comment. Here's one that's been retired and has no reason to break the streak of not going to NAB. Here's one that says, drink lots, come see Jeff at Nautel. Jeff W. Either one.
I may or may not have been the one that filled that one out. I don't need to be anonymous.
Another retirement, no budget. The boss is going to go, so I have to stay at home. Well, that's a shame when that's
That's
his.
also valid. Somebody's got to keep the lights lit.
It's a lot harder now that back in the early 2000s when I was doing Radio Guide, we set up those AM transmission seminars, 3 days, 2 evenings. Problem was that as time went on, there were fewer and fewer assistants anymore. And that was that period of time, the late zero zeros, where the big consolidators were starting to thin out their ranks and start doing more engineering from a centralized location. And so we had a lot of guys that wanted to go, but the best they could say is, I've got nobody to watch over for 3 days if I'm not there.
Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the things that, and this is me talking totally out of school with absolutely, I'm wearing a Levi's shirt, not an Autel shirt. I'd pull the banner down, but I don't have time. But I think the NAB is going to have to start to learn that the folks don't have the time to go to a 4 day centralized show, and it's going to behoove them to find a way to make it into a bunch of 1 day regionals. Now, how they do that, no idea. Do they work with the state organizations? There's ways it could be done, but I'm just not sure. And I mean, the ROI from a vendor perspective, I think it's still there for us. Obviously, it is, because people that do that math still sign us up year after year. Of course, there's also the, you don't want to be the first one not to be there, because they'll be like, oh, somebody's in trouble. They didn't show up here. So yeah, it's, that's a bit of tales out of school, but I think the paradigm is shifting, to use more buzzwords, and I think we do need to start figuring out how we're going to accommodate that over the long haul.
Yeah, yeah.
Fortunately for me, the long haul is only 5 to 10 years, and after that, it'll be somebody else's problem.
Well, good grief. Every time you think about one of these things, that's something that we have to make a choice of. So, uh,
Well, how many times have you gone wandering down a hall during NAB or down an aisleway and you find a booth that sells a thingy that you didn't even know existed, but it like solves every problem you've ever had.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
from the vendor perspective, never, because I'm welded to our booth pretty much from start to back up.
Okay, for everybody except for Jeff W's.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just set this thing up now. It's just pretty simple. If you are going and if you're interested, question here. Monday noon, Monday evening. Yes, no, pick a choice. Would pizza be a good choice? Yes or no? Straw poll. Very, I may or may not be able to do something, but we'll work at it here.
What day did you say? Monday?
I'm thinking Monday because Sunday everybody is pretty well wiped out from the first day, and Tuesday night I may have an appointment with someone. Uh, so Monday is, and the problem is that a lot of you companies, BSW, Brian, Broadcast Depot, even you, Jeff, take some of your clients out for dinner.
On
And
occasion, we do.
so that's not the best thing for evening. So lunch seems to be a better thing, although I'm not sure that I'm not sure, again, how easy we can pull this off, and maybe I can arrange to have a sponsor pay for the pizzas. We'll work on it if there's enough interest. So I'll leave that up for a few more minutes here. Ray Lewis says best story he heard from the early '60s. It's true. Bauer had a woman, a temp, come in and construct a 747 right on the floor of the NAB show. Don't know if you could do that with a Nautel today. Although actually, with these circuit boards, wouldn't be all that difficult.
You could. The biggest part would be the chassis. We don't bolt them together anymore. The frames are pretty much all riveted. So it would require some tools and some error, but I mean, there's no reason you couldn't do it on the show floor. Would there be any benefit to it? I'm not sure. I guess
You do it with
sometimes
a
it's fun to
VX
see
real
how the
quick.
sausage. What's that?
We could do it with a VX real quick.
This is true. This is true. Hell, we could set up one of the VX assembly stations. We use this rolling wheel, almost like an airport security rollers, and except rubber so they don't scratch stuff. But they move stuff from person to person for different parts of the assembly process. So it really goes together fast. Yeah, we could do that. We could put together in the space of 3 days at show floor, 3.5 days, we could probably build 100 VXs. That'd be fun. And then we just auction them off on the show floor.
that's right.
So anybody else have a comment about something that they saw or they found that by going to the NAB show they really benefited, other than wore out their shoes or?
Well, let's say I did like the comment, Brian's comment, less about me finding it, but somebody will come up to me and say, hey, I saw this at this booth. You should check it out. And on vendor day, the last day, I'll make it a point to wander over and go check it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, it could be, shoot, depending, it could be something that helps customers solve a problem. It could be just a really cool piece of swag they had. I mean, not to say that we collect swag on the last day, but we may.
Yeah. Yep. Some good swag comes. Of course, it's pins. Yeah, that's one thing. Used to be a big deal. Not so much anymore. Mouse pads, not so much anymore. What else?
Speak for yourself. We give away tons of mouse pads.
Do you?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I think the best piece of swag you could find, Barry, is going to be Sunday morning at the NUG. I did confirm with Ed that he's bringing back our badge ribbons for the NUG members. So if you're going to be at the NUG, make sure you find one of these. I'd love to see a whole bunch of them walking around the floor all week.
and aside from that badge, what goodies are? I know you get T-shirts.
Oh, we got those too.
Yeah,
But
always. We don't give away too much. And some of the other cool stuff like dielectric, I just got this. I don't know who I stole this stress ball off of, but You know, not that we have any stress in this industry.
I got a little box of things. I got a yo-yo from Orban from years ago. Got a couple of greenies from Telos.
I've still got a BDR multimeter.
Yeah, oh, there you are. I did do a DVM one year,
Is that a
and
slide rule, Wilson? I see, but can you top my RCS tape measure? Did I mention it's spaced in rack sizes, rack units? And for those of us who are a little clumsy, this is from a regional show, but University of Arkansas, at the Arkansas Broadcasters one year gave away little pocket first aid kits.
yeah, Kevin Kidd did that one year. One of the things I really found was good was a little USB hub.
Yep,
that
I've
you
got
could,
a couple of those. What's Mary holding up here? Back up, Mary. You're too close. I see your finger.
say
I
something,
think it's
Mary.
your
So
finger. I hope.
say something so it grabs your picture.
Yeah, unmute yourself and then say something.
Hmm.
It works better when you're not muted. We just totally ruined it. Oh, look, Barry's totally permanently muted, Mary.
No, I don't think so. Where are you, Mary? Mary, unmute.
Very, that's true. That's
There
It
you
true.
helps
are.
if you click the button.
Now you can
So-
show us.
So what was that?
I think Paul's gone. I think Anita was not sure.
Oh, we thought you were showing us something.
I gave both of them a code, so but I don't know if they're both gone or just one or what.
Mhm.
Yes.
Wow, Orban had a prize giveaway over the top, 50 grand worth of equipment. This right here may be one of my favorite swag items.
Oh yeah.
And this one's labeled with Innovonics. I've got another one for Digigram. I've got a Nautel one kicking around somewhere. But these little screwdrivers, the number one bit in them is the exact perfect size for pulling the cover off a VX transmitter. With this tool, I can disassemble the entire transmitter except for the two 10 millimeter nuts that hold the low voltage power supply in. And of course, I can't find my 10 millimeter socket because that's like an American, or well, for us, it's usually the 7/16, but those are the ones you lose.
Yeah, we've had sockets, we've had little compasses. There was a whole bunch of that. Slinky got Slinkies one year, and Frisbees another year.
Mm-hmm.
Those are also good for paper plate holders.
I mean, one year Jampro was giving away little boxes of assorted size Post-it notes. I had a pile of them there. See, Jerry's got one of the Nautel multi-tools.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I mean, as I look around my desk, it seems like 3/4 of my desk is held together with various pieces of swag. I'm not sure. Some of these things, I'm not sure who they came from. Some of them are labeled, some of them are not. Another Innovonics screwdriver. More pin flashlights than I can shake a stick at. This is from Broadcast Connection.
I since you're doing t-shirts, I won't do a t-shirt. Baseball caps,
Picked up one of these.
cats. Reiner, do you have a whole flock of cats? Is that what you want us to bring cats?
Hey, I'd be there for that. We just picked up our 4th one a couple of months ago.
So, but yeah, if I can find a little more interest, I'd say I've got 6 or 8 people that have contacted me in the last 2 days, off the Zoom, not here on the Zoom, and then we have a number here, so we could have a nice little pizza lunch. And again, I think it's close enough to the West Hall that we wouldn't keep vendors away for too long. Dan Grimes, who is in Las Vegas.
Bruce.
You're going to say, I always, the first thing you worry is that me?
He is going to check the pizza joint out to make sure that everything is good. and we'll look to that. And he was going to offer his studio for a studio tour and evening discussion, but it's about a mile and a half away, and that's too far to walk, and transportation becomes a real problem in Las Vegas.
Yeah, this year for the first year ever, I'm buying a monorail pass, and we'll see how that plays.
Depending on what hotel you're in, they can be pretty good.
We'll be, and for the first year ever, we actually got the Flamingo, which, given that's where we hold the NUG, kind of made sense.
Yeah. Because parking there is a real pain.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and since there's, except for the Tuscany, most of the big hotels have gone to paid parking. And I mean, it may or may not be tied in with the resort fee, or it may be an additional cost. So yeah, it's the little things, and that's something else you got to watch out for. I've seen, like, one of our guys, he got a great rate at a hotel, which is significantly farther away from the convention center than we like. And it's a great rate until you add in the taxes and the resort fee and any parking and et cetera and so on. And at that point, you might as well just book the room at the Flamingo and not have to rent a car.
Well, that's
So
true. That's true.
Barry in the chat linked to the Live View TV or the thing they're giving away at NAB.
Mm-hmm.
Better not be a competitor transmitter, Mary. I will have to disown you.
No, you're safe. It's an IP. It's audio video over IP.
I did sign up for a hotel room, and the taxes and resort fees are more than the room.
Hmm. So
Which,
I'd originally booked the Strat just because I stayed there for the last day of pack up last year and was impressed with how they've renovated the rooms. Really nice European style rooms with the coffee maker in the room, and because for me, I live and die by my morning coffee. Well, I live or somebody dies, I guess would be the better way of putting it. But most of the casino hotels, they don't want you in your room enjoying a coffee. They want you down in front of the machines, and they'll give you the coffee just to get you down there spending your money in the machines. So as a rule, what'll happen is I'll land at McCarran or whatever we call it now, Harry Reid, the airport anyway. And most years I'll jump in the rental car, go straight to the nearest Walmart Supercenter, load up on a cheapest coffee maker I can find, filters, coffee, sugar, creamer, and set up a coffee bar. Yeah, like Jerry Olson says in a direct message, I drink coffee for your protection. But the so I'll $30, I'll make a coffee bar and set that up in my room. If you are a coffee addict or a caffeine addict, that is something you want to factor in, that a lot of the casino hotels do not have in-room coffee.
well, they
So,
had,
and it's funny because if you're there for 3 or 4 days, those are the kind of little things that really irritate you, especially
yeah,
as I get older and crankier.
I usually get several liters of pop, and we had a little maker in the room. I use it for tea, but you could do
Hmm.
it for coffee.
Yep.
I picked Circus Circus again. It's just a short walk to
Right.
the West Hall. It's not the most plush place in the world. It's clean. You're going to sleep there the rest of the day. You're not going to be there. So
Like I said, you're going to be on average between 12 and 16 hours a day out of the room, if not more than that. And the time you're in the room, you're going to be probably working on the laptop or from a vendor perspective and then sleeping.
yeah,